and this time on the Mortgage and Protection Podcast, Paul Collinson is back from Brick to Brick Mortgage Solutions to talk all about mortgages for NHS workers. Thank you for joining us again, Paul. How are you today?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you doing?
That's very good to hear. I'm all good too. Thank you. So let's get straight into the list of questions that we've got here then. So the first question asks, can you explain the mortgage application process for an NHS worker? So how does it work?
Yeah, of course. You'd first come to us and we'd be able to find out what the maximum borrowing potential is for you. Then you'll know what property values to look at and what kind of deposit you'll need to get together. We'll then supply you with an approval in principle. Then you can find somewhere you like and then have an offer accepted on a property. And then we'll be able to find the most suitable option available to you. And then after that, we'll be able to get the documents together and then we'll apply for the mortgage on your behalf. So we would make sure we get the best suitable option available for you before we apply for the mortgage.
Right, okay. Well, a brilliant mini step-by-step guide there. So thank you for that, Paul. And speaking of documents, the next question asks, what documentation do I need to provide for a mortgage as an NHS worker?
For an NHS worker, pretty much the same as most employed applicants. You'll need your latest 3 months payslips, your latest 3 months bank statements, and an ID in the form of either a driving licence or a passport.
Okay, so the documents there to remember. Now, you might have touched on this just at the start there, but how can I find a lender that offers a mortgage as someone who works for the NHS?
Most lenders, to be honest, do offer NHS mortgages, but they do assess it in different ways because NHS workers sometimes have different overtime sections on their payslips. Some of them do nurse bank staff work, which again, different lenders assess that in different ways. And in order to find out the maximum borrowing, sometimes we'd have to use a lender that would take 100% of that income rather than only 50% of it. Hopefully that explains it.
Yes, I think that's clear there. Hopefully, it is to anybody listening. So, moving on then, I'm not sure how much you can say here. So, what are the typical interest rates and loan terms for a mortgage as someone who works for the NHS?
Pretty much the same as for someone that doesn't work for the NHS, really, because like I say, most lenders do offer NHS mortgages. Like I said, we would need a lender that is okay with all the extra parts of the income that's displayed on most of the NHS pay slips. But on terms of the typical interest rates, at this point, rates have been up and down the last couple of years, as we're aware. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. But at the moment, as it stands, you can get in the fours. That depends on the loan to value. Again, if you only got 5%, and then it's going to be or 5 or 10%, you could be looking at the late 5%. But obviously, if you've got more deposit to put in and less risk for the lender, and then you'll get the lower rates, which seem to be at best around the early fours at the moment.
Right, okay, there we go. And that is just to confirm at the time of recording this episode in June 2024, because as you've said there, Paul, rates go up and down all the time, don't they? And the market changes day to day. So let's move on then. People would like to know, can I use a mortgage to buy a property jointly with someone else as an NHS worker?
Yes, you can. The same as any other applicant, really. It's absolutely fine. You can get two NHS workers on the same mortgage application. That's fine. Yeah.
Right, okay. Now, this is interesting. So, what happens if I am no longer employed by the NHS after obtaining a mortgage?
That's fine. I mean, after the mortgage is completed, that's what they assess the income on. So as long as the new job or the new position with the new employer is still at an affordable level, that would be fine. But when your current mortgage fixed period or tied in period ends, then we would need to assess the new income to check that it is affordable before we can search for another deal out there for you.
Right, okay. So, just something to bear in mind there. Now, can I port my mortgage if I need to move to a different property as an NHS worker?
Yeah, most lenders do allow you to port a mortgage. What they normally do is they'll reassess the income. So you put the mortgage over to another property, they will look at the income again and commitments, etc., along with assessing that the new property is going to fit their criteria. So this would all need to fit prior to porting a mortgage over. So they would assess that, and also normally with porting a mortgage over, most people would have gone for a property that would need a mortgage higher than what they currently got. So they would normally put the mortgage and then get another additional lending from that lender. So your whole affordability would need to be reassessed on the whole mortgage as a whole, and then the lender would be able to ascertain whether they'll be able to do that for you.
Okay, so clearly explained there. Thank you for that. Now, people would like to know, are there any additional fees or charges associated with a mortgage as someone who works for the NHS?
No, there aren't. There aren't really any. No, there aren't at all. Actually, no. That's just the short answer. That's yeah. There isn't any.
Okay, that's good news there then. So, people would like to know as well, what happens if I am unable to make my mortgage payments as an NHS worker?
The same as if you're working for any other company or self-employed. At the moment, there's something called a mortgage charter, though, that the government has introduced, but I'm unsure how long this will last. It enables the client to switch to interest only for 6 months to help them out. But the worst case scenario, if a mortgage is not paid for an amount of time, and then your property can get repossessed by the lender, and that's not nice for anyone or anyone involved on the mortgage, because then it's going to affect any future mortgages they'll be able to have for at least 6 years.
Yeah, so just something to be aware of there. So, another question here asks, can I get a buy-to-let mortgage as an NHS worker? So, any differences here?
Yes, you can. There's no differences. They will assess the mortgage amount based on what the anticipated rental income is for that property. There are a small amount of lenders that may even look at using the main income to help with this. But in answer to your question, that doesn't make any difference for an NHS worker or a teacher or works for anybody else, really. That's all fine.
Okay, so that's good news there. So, we've got a couple of questions left. The next question asks, what if I have bad credit? So, can I still get a mortgage as an NHS worker?
Yes, you can, but that would depend on what sort of bad credits. There are various circumstances here. It may be one missed payment, which may be likely, but a missed payment or late payment, say on a credit card, or it could be several missed payments where it would be a lot more difficult to be able to get a mortgage, or a default on your file that's settled or unsettled. That can always not look so good from a lender's point of view, or county court judgment. So you'd need to come to us first so that we can assess the full credit file, of which you'll be able to obtain that on our website. So you could be able to download the full report and then email it over, and then we'll have a look at it and then be able to see which lenders would be able to look at this for you.
Okay, so hopefully that sounds reassuring there. I suppose it depends on the severity, Paul, and the circumstances and all of that, like you were saying. Okay, so just lastly then, how do I apply for a mortgage as an NHS worker, and how can a mortgage broker help here?
After we've completed the mortgage process that I went through earlier, we've got many lenders, and we'll get the most suitable deal available based on what your criteria and circumstances are, and then we would apply for the mortgage on your behalf. We will then keep you updated through the process to ensure that everything completes as smoothly as possible for you as an NHS worker.
Okay, there we go. Well, thank you, Paul, as always. Hopefully, we've helped a few people out on the episode, and I'm sure we'll speak to you again on the podcast very soon.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Please note, your home may be repossessed if you do not keep up with your mortgage repayments. The Financial Conduct Authority does not regulate most buy-to-let mortgages.